Hey there folks, how you doing today? Hope all is well with you. So this video is being done in response to an overwhelming number of comments that I've gotten on a video that I never thought was going to be that popular. Let me set the stage for you. Last year, a colleague of mine brought to me his unfired Smith & Wesson SD40VE pistol. He brought it to me because he had been having a problem with the pistol when loading it in his closet. The issue that he had encountered was when loading a magazine and then chambering around while controlling the slide motion, the .40 caliber bullets were stopping on the feed ramp and the pistol was not going completely into battery. He mentioned it to me, asked me to take a look at it. I told him I would, and I decided to make a video in hopes that I could help someone else. So one of the YouTubers that I watch personally is Paul Harrell. I really enjoy his content and the way he presents it. I think that he is an underappreciated contributor to the 2A community and the respective content on the YouTube platform. But there are a lot of people that are critical of the fact that he goes back to dawn of time explanations on many of his videos concerning whatever it is he happens to be speaking about at the time. Now, for some of the more mature viewers and folks who are well versed in the firearms world, some of that content could be taken as monotonous. However, I appreciate the fact that he does it. Now, that being said, when I made the video for the Smith & Wesson SD40VE, that one, I didn't go back to the dawn of time to explain things at the beginning of that video because I was trying to keep it nice and short and concise. Of the more than 12,000 people who have watched that video, most folks have appreciated it, left positive feedback, and while they are a bit repetitious, most of the comments have been positive as well. But it has occurred to me, having read through all of the comments on that video, that a good many of the individuals watching that video really probably are more of the I saw this on Call of Duty types rather than the types that have actually done things. So I'm going to back up and give a little bit of a dawn of time explanation here to try to clear the murky waters around that video and to debunk some of the comments that I have received. It becomes apparent that nobody is actually reading the comments that anybody else posted when you have more than 100 comments that are some variation of this. Yes, that's right. I've had more people write in and say, just pull the slider back and let her rip. Yeah, that works. But there have also been a great number of comments on that video, particularly coming from the individuals that only watch the first 3 minutes of it and then stop watching to write a nasty comment about the first 3 minutes of it, which there was a lot of that. There have been a lot of comments from viewers such as that indicate that, well, any semi-automatic pistol will do that if you nurse the slide forward. Before we go any deeper into this, let me give a dawn of time explanation concerning the Smith & Wesson SD40VE. You can go to Academy or Bass Pro Shops or several other of the gun stores in this area and purchase a Smith & Wesson SD40VE for around $300. That places the Smith & Wesson SD40VE for what it is in the lower end spectrum of the price range. So given the record numbers of first-time gun buyers since the beginning of the pandemic, I'm sure there have been more than the usual number of people buying that pistol or the 9mm version of it for the simple fact that it's one of the cheapest guns available, and they almost always have one. So with that in mind, I think it is fair to say that a good many of the people that have purchased the SD40VE are new or unexperienced shooters. That certainly doesn't apply across the board, but I think it is a general consensus. And on a side note, I'm not saying that all $300 pistols perform poorly or have issues. I present to you here for an example the Taurus G3C pistol. I am of the opinion that the G3C is one of the best pistols on the market in its respective price range. We'll talk about it a little more here in a minute. So as I mentioned in the video that I produced on the SD40VE, the pistol did not belong to me. The gentleman that the pistol belonged to has moved more than 1,000 miles away from me, and so I do not have his pistol readily available to replicate anything here today. So at this point, we're going to go back to some of the footage from the first video so you can see what I was talking about, and there will be a commentary portion at the end of that. He told me that when he was trying to chamber around, look there. You see how it hangs up? Not quite going into the chamber. Let's see if we can replicate that. So as you can see at my kitchen counter, nursing the slide, holding the slide while it was going into battery, regardless of the type of ammunition that was in it, was causing about a 50% rate of rounds not wanting to chamber correctly. So then I took it outside and I operated the slide the way it's intended to be. All right, so now I've reloaded the magazines with the exact same rounds, and we're going to start with the factory hollow points. Watch what happens when I drop the slide release on this pistol. Oh, it's in battery. Let's try that again. Oh, it's in battery again. Again. And as you could see there, when you pulled the slide back and let it go, or released the slide release on the side of the pistol, it would snap into battery and chamber the round. So there really wasn't anything wrong with the pistol. Then I actually took the pistol to the range and ran a few rounds through it. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna try this Smith & Wesson SD40VE. First I'm gonna run these hollow points, they're factory loads. This is just a function test to see how it does. Let's try a couple of these others and see how they do. So as you could see, while the fit and finish of the gun was not necessarily grade A, there was nothing wrong with it. But now I want to touch on those individuals that said, well, any gun will do that if you nurse the slide forward. Folks, let this be my example. As I mentioned before, I do not own a Smith & Wesson SD40VE. This is the closest thing I have to it, and the only thing I have available in .40 caliber. Here I have a factory magazine loaded with hollow point ammunition. And you'll see that nursing the slide on this pistol does not cause the same type of malfunction as it did with the SD40VE. I'm not a real big fan of the puny little slide stop on this pistol. Now we will run that same exercise through that same pistol, only this time we'll use a Pro Mag magazine with some lead truncated cone home load bullets that are more prone to fail. And again, you'll see that we did not have the same issue with this pistol as we did with the SD40VE. So as you saw right there, this pistol, the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 in .40 caliber, let me show you that it's clear here real quick, did not appear to have any issues chambering the round, no matter how slowly I released the slide. So what's the difference in this Smith & Wesson pistol and the SD40VE, you might ask? Well, for starters, about $350. This pistol was intended for a purpose that the SD40VE was never intended for, and that's why a great number of professional carriers depend on the Smith & Wesson M&P series of pistols. But I didn't want to stop there, so let me show you how arguably my favorite gun, the Glock 19X, performed doing the same drill. So now moving on, we're going to test my very favorite handgun, the Glock 19X. You know what? Do that a few more times just so you can see that there are no issues with nursing the slide on this pistol either. And there again, folks, I had zero issues with the Glock 19X. Now, I'm not playing around with this pistol at this time because it is hot. But again, what is the major difference between the Glock 19X and the Smith & Wesson SD40VE? Again, you could have two of those for one of these. So now I've showed you how the higher end Smith & Wesson along with the Glock performed conducting the same test that caused issues with the SD40VE. But how do other makes and models of pistols perform? I'm going to show you now one more pistol of a similar pedigree to these two before moving on to something a little more price conscious. So now, in the interest of fairness, I'm going to bring out a nearly new Walther PDP full size. A factory magazine loaded with steel-cased ammunition. They do not make aftermarket magazines for this pistol yet, so there's no Pro Mag option available. Just something to consider. These are very expensive magazines, but this is loaded with as crappy of ammunition as I can imagine. So as I showed you there, the Walther PDP, let me show you folks, this one is clear. I had no issues chambering the rounds with me controlling or nursing the slide forward. And keep in mind the rounds that I was feeding into this pistol were nasty steel-cased ammunition. But again, these three pistols are probably a little bit out of reach of some shooters. So what about a different pistol of similar price point to the SD40VE? Show clear. I was actually even tempted to open this Taurus G3 and let you see how it performed, but I hate to waste a good food saver bag. Okay folks, let me show you here. This thing is clear. The Taurus G3C was able to chamber the rounds without any issues. Now yes, I realize there's a difference in the profile of a 9mm round and a 40 caliber round, and I don't have a G2C in 40 caliber to conduct this exercise with. But what I can tell you is the Taurus G3C shares a very similar price point to the Smith & Wesson SD40VE. So is the G3C a better pistol than the SD40VE? Not really. I think it would come down to a personal choice. I really like the G3C. I think it is one of the best deals you can find right now. And I do think 9mm is probably a better choice for most folks than the 40 caliber Smith & Wesson. If you were somebody like my friend who had a surplus of 40 caliber ammunition and needed something to shoot it through, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the Smith & Wesson SD40VE. The point that I really wanted to drive home in this video is that guns like the SD40VE have a customer base that is largely centered in newer shooters. A lot of those people, when they encounter something like a pistol that won't go into battery when they're trying to load it in their closet without waking up their wife, may think that there's something wrong with their gun and turn to the internet to try to figure it out. If that individual is trying to read down through the comments on a video and all they see is 100 different versions of the same comment indicating, "Just pull it back and let her rip," they may become discouraged. Or what's worse, if they read something to the effect of this joker's comment, they might think that their Taurus G3C is incapable of firing hollow point rounds. When in all actuality, in most jurisdictions, shooting somebody with a full metal jacket round is really opening yourself up for liability. So I guess I said all that to say that in the future, if I'm doing a video on a pistol that's on the lower end of the spectrum, I will try to dig back a little further with the dawn of time explanation, giving of course a warning to the rest of the folks that I'm going to do that, so that maybe there will be some better understanding later on down the road. Furthermore, at the request of some of the folks that have written comments on some of these videos that I've done on the lower end platform, I think that I'm going to start putting out some content geared towards those new and first time shooters. So I really hope that this didn't wind up sounding like a rant. That certainly wasn't my intention. My main focus here was to try to get the point across that sometimes the comments that we leave or the opinions that we have on certain things like this can be damaging to somebody who's just trying to get it figured out. But what I would like to do is challenge you that if you are one of the more mature shooters that is watching this content, next time you're out at the range or you're at the sporting goods store or the gun shop trying to buy something and you see somebody there who's a new shooter and they're just trying to get things figured out, maybe take a minute to explain something to them that they don't understand. There are little things like explaining the difference to somebody between 9mm Makarov and 9x19, or the fact that 9x19 and 9mm Luger are the same cartridge. That kind of information shared in a positive manner between those of us in the 2A community can go a long ways in helping out the new shooters and furthering our cause. I think I've probably gone on now long enough, so until next time folks, take care, God bless. Let me paint the stage for you. There have been a lot of comments from those people, yes I said those people,